Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Commander, 70th Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Wing, Colonel Brian Tyler, we welcome you to today's Commander's Call. I am Staff Sergeant Ashley Somm from the 70th ISR Wing Commander's Action Group, and I will be your narrator for today. Welcome to all Commanders, Superintendents, First Sergeants, Supervisors, and all the airmen of the 70th ISR Wing joining us today. Colonel Tyler, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sergeant Somm. Well, Chief Master Sergeant Ross and I are excited to join you here on this Friday before Mother's Day, from the National Business Park, not far from your wing headquarters. We're glad to have all of Rooster Nation online, whether you're watching it today with us or able to watch next week. We've got a really good lineup. We'll get to announce our first quarter of the year award winners, talk to you a little bit about some higher headquarters award winners, and then we'll go into some messages from our chaplain, talk a little bit about COVID-19 and give you an update on the vaccination rates across the wing, an outbrief from our JAG on extremism stand down, and then some civilian personnel and summer safety notes before an update on fitness assessment. And Air Force Assistance Fund will bring us all home. Thanks for your attention today. We'll do this full agenda over the course of the next 70 minutes, so let's get started.
All right, sir, so we're ready to start our quarterly awards.
I think so.
All right, so for those of you who haven't seen these yet, we just introduced last quarter the Wing's new quarterly award trophies. They're a pretty awesome rooster, a talking piece that you can put on your desk. So let's get right into it, sir.
Well, the airmen of the first quarter nominees for this quarter, Senior Airman Chad Chambers from our wing staff.
Senior Airman Tyler Cedillo from the 373rd ISRG.
Airman First Class Mark Jones from the 543rd ISR Group.
Senior Airman Sandra Blakesley from the 659th.
And Senior Airman Brenna Bellamy from the 691st ISR Group.
And Airman Jalen Lang from the 707th ISR Group.
Senior Airman Ashanti Cass from the 70th Operations Support Squadron. And your airman of the first quarter for the wing, Senior Airman Sandra Blakesley from the 7th Intelligence Squadron. Congratulations, Airman Blakesley.
And your airman technician of the first quarter nominees are, from the 373rd ISR Group, Senior Airman Ethan Harkey.
And Airman First Class Brian Galan from the 543rd ISR Group.
And Senior Airman Vic Tovitsky from the 659th ISR Group.
Senior Airman Kaylee Latchaw from the 691st ISR Group.
Senior Airman William Wright from the 707th ISR Group.
And rounding out the list, Senior Airman Thomas Stevenson from our 70th Operations Support Squadron. Airman Technician of the first quarter, as you can see, Senior Airman Ethan Harkey. Congratulations from the 566th Intelligence Squadron. Our NCO of the first quarter nominees for the wing include Staff Sergeant Robert Layton, 70th ISR Wing Staff.
And Technical Sergeant Vorokan Chalapak from the 373rd ISRG.
Technical Sergeant Aaron Burnt from the 543rd ISR Group.
And Tech Sergeant Philip Harrop from the 659th ISR Group.
Technical Sergeant Justin Simpson from the 691st ISR Group.
And Technical Sergeant Kevin Cox from the 707th ISR Group.
And last but not least, Tech Sergeant Aaron Vonderar from the 70th Operations Support Squadron.
And your NCO of the first quarter from the 668 Alice, Tech Sergeant Aaron Burnt.
Congratulations.
All right, your NCO technician of the first quarter nominees, Technical Sergeant Christopher Baker from the wing staff.
Staff Sergeant Lucas Blackburn from the 373rd ISR Group.
Technical Sergeant Scott Burlingame, 543rd ISR Group.
Staff Sergeant Mark Trehan from the 659th ISR Group.
Staff Sergeant Craig Lotito from the 691st ISR Group.
Staff Sergeant Lance Carpenter, 707th ISR Group.
And Tech Sergeant Derek Baring from the 70th Operations Support Squadron.
Your NCO technician of the first quarter, Staff Sergeant Craig Latito from the 29th Intelligence Squadron. Congratulations, Sergeant Latito. Our senior NCO, the first quarter nominees include Master Sergeant Kenrick KB Bremer from the 70th ISR Wing Staff.
And Master Sergeant Rebecca Fleets from the 373rd ISR Group.
Master Sergeant John Tarpley from the 543rd ISR Group.
Master Sergeant Cody Pittman from the 659th.
Master Sergeant Alan Mixon from the 691st ISR Group.
Master Sergeant Katie Huguenin from the 707th ISR Group.
And Master Sergeant Skylar Howard from our 70th Operations Support Squadron. I'm proud to announce that your senior NCO of the first quarter is Master Sergeant Katie Huguenin from the 94th Intelligence Squadron. Congratulations, Sergeant Huguenin. Your CGO of the first quarter nominees at the wing level include Captain Nicole Kohlmeyer from the wing staff,
Second Lieutenant Zachary Olson from the 373rd ISR Group,
Captain Jennings Fairchild from the 543rd ISR Group,
Captain Robert Schultz from the 659th ISR Group,
Captain Reed Bidgood, the 691st ISR Group,
First Lieutenant Leslie Simpson from the 707th ISR Group,
and Captain Felicia Yeager from the 70th Operations Support Squadron. Chief, the CGO of the first quarter?
First Lieutenant Leslie Simpson from the 707th Comm Squadron.
Congratulations, Lieutenant Simpson. Your CGO technician of the first quarter nominees include Captain Shelby Sams from the 373rd ISR Group,
Second Lieutenant Catherine Benton from the 543rd ISR Group,
First Lieutenant Timothy Allen from the 691st ISR Group,
Captain Robert Geyer from the 707th ISR Group,
and Captain Spencer Lee from the 70th Operations Support Squadron. Congratulations, Captain Spencer Lee from the 70th OSS on being our CGO technician of the first quarter 2021.
Our FGO nominees for the first quarter 2021 from the 373rd ISR Group, Major Darren Litnicum,
Major Michael Amold from the 543rd ISR Group,
Major Peshway Chen from the 659th ISR Group,
Lieutenant Colonel Christina Kent from the 691st ISR Group,
Major Jose Alvarez from the 707th ISR Group,
and Major Cameron Unterberger from the 70th Operations Support Squadron. Our FGO of the first quarter is Major Cameron Unterberger, 70th Operations Support Squadron. Congratulations, Crane. Your civilian Category 1 non-supervisory civilian of the first quarter nominees include Miss Jennifer Peterin from the 691st ISR Group,
and Kelly Legan from the 707th ISR Group.
Drum roll, please, Chief.
And the Cat 1 civilian of the quarter is Kelly Legan from the 707th Comm Squadron. Our civilian Cat 2 members of the first quarter nominees are Miss Tiara Seal from the wing staff,
And Connor Kreis from the 373rd ISR Group,
and Joseph Chope from the 707th ISRG.
Our Cat 2 civilian of the first quarter is Connor Kreis from the 381st Intelligence Squadron in Alaska. Congratulations, Connor. Our Cat 3 civilian of the first quarter nominees include Mr. Christian Turner from our Wing Staff Security Office,
And Ms. Jennifer Leverold from the 543rd ISRG.
and Mr. Peter Myers from the 659th ISR Group. Congratulations, Mr. Peter Myers from the 35th Intelligence Squadron and the 659th ISR Group on being our Category 3 civilian of the first quarter for the wing.
All right, sir. Our team nominees of the quarter are from the Wing Staff Agency Financial Operations Team.
As well, our Winter Storm Uri recovery team from the 543rd ISR Group,
And the CSD Hotel Actors and Intentions from the 659th ISR Group.
Team Nitro Overhead Threat Team, lends to our 32nd Intelligence Squadron Nitro Overhead Threat Team for being the Wings team of the first quarter. We're also pleased to announce our key spouse of the first quarter, Mrs. Jennifer Hack from the 543rd ISR Group. Thank you, Ms. Hack, for everything you do for our families down in Texas. Chief, we was by members of this wing. And among those that recently came to our attention was that we had some Computer Network Operations Development Program interns that competed in the National President's Cup Cybersecurity Competition. And in our team, with Major Cameron Unterberger, Captain Brent DuPont, and Captain Aaron Reyes, came in second place. I think that there were close to 200 teams, 150 some odd teams that competed in this cybersecurity competition. And so thank you, gentlemen, for representing our wing and our Air Force so well. Congratulations to you for being our second place team at the National President's Cup Cybersecurity Competition this year. Chief, we also recently received the announcement of the 16th Air Force Judge Advocate Award winners, and 3 of our roosters earned awards at the 16th Air Force level. And they include, and we'll announce these together, all right? Outstanding NCO Paralegal of the Year Award goes to Staff Sergeant Dylan Dorsey. Congratulations, Sergeant Dorsey.
Outstanding Paralegal Senior NCO of the Year Award, Master Sergeant Chris Starr.
And the Outstanding Air Reserve Component Judge Advocate of the Year Award goes to Major Morgan Bumbarger. Congratulations to all three of you. Thanks for being outstanding Roosters and representing so well up at the 16th Air Force level. Chief, we also have another special announcement. Is this the time we want to shuffle the deck?
Yes, sir. I think so.
Okay. Chaplain,
All
please
right.
join us. So, Chaplain, I know you're ready to start off your discussion and conversation with the wing, but before we do so, I just want to announce in front of the wing that the 2020 Air Combat Command Outstanding Small Chapel Team Award goes to, well, for the fourth year in a row, I believe,
Yes, sir.
the 70th ISR Wing Chaplain Team. Chaplain, thank you for serving our airmen and guardians every single day and doing so from a place of love. We couldn't be as outstanding as we are but for your service. And so we thank you for your leadership and the entire team for lifting us all.
Thank you very much, sir.
There
Thanks,
you go,
Chief.
Chaplain. Thank you.
All right. Give them a round of applause, a snap, some applause in the chat. Just show love for our chaplain team and all of our award winners. Well, Chaplain, I'm going to get out of the stage
All right.
and turn it over to you, all right?
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll
Appreciate
move.
it very much.
Our heraldic device here.
All right, I just want to talk real quick about, well, first off, I want to thank my whole team. I get to be the recipient of the award, but we had so many different people on our chapel team that helped be a part of these awards, and just so proud to serve alongside them. But one of the things I want to talk about today is being a courageous professional. This kind of lines up with the bridge chat topics, and this is actually the topic for April. I just want to encourage you to look on those bridge chats. There's some really great stuff on there. After this is over today, please today in this bridge chat, a display of courage, maybe about what the dangers are. Right? Courage is thinking about as I prepared for this is in my own life. Most of the times I've had to have courage haven't been maybe due to physical danger, but more so due to putting myself out there, like maybe public speaking, like I'm doing right now, or trying something new, or having a difficult conversation with someone, or just doing what I know is right, even though it may cause me some difficulty in my own life. And so I want to encourage you that being courageous in our daily lives is a huge part of what it means to have success. That Lance Sajan video, if you watch that, there's a few things I just want to share from it that I picked up. One of the things that he goes through some terrible, terrible circumstances. He was without food and water for 47 days, something like that, and survived some horrific circumstances. And through all of that, remained faithful to his country, to his the people that were with him. And one of the things they say in that video is they say, hope is something you cling to. Faith is something strong as nails you carry into battle. Faith is believing with all you've got. And another thing they say is, if he can do what he did, airmen, you can do whatever is in front of you. And so the pictures that you see on the screen are lots of different people that have gone before us. There's Eddie Rickenbacker, there's Jesse Owens, there's Rosa Parks, there's of course Lance Sajan, and knowing that they were able to do what they did, it will help you and me to do whatever's in front of us. The other picture on there you might laugh about, where's Courage the Cowardly Dog on there? The reason he's on there is because he's the perfect example that no matter what's going on, he can be fearful, but with Courage the Cowardly Dog, every episode, no matter how fearful he is, he does what he has to do to protect his family, basically. So push through, do what you have to do. Instead of saying I can't, say I can, and you can make it. So that's pretty much all I have to say today. The last thing to deal with courage is the award that the chapel team won is named for Robert Taylor. He was actually a chaplain in World War II and survived the Bataan Death March. He survived the death ships. He was one of the few people who survived all of that ordeal and made it back home after several years. He was pronounced presumed dead, and so his family moved on, his wife remarried, but he still came back and pushed through all of that to become chief of chaplains. So definitely another display of courage. that's all I've got for you today. I just encourage you. There's some numbers on the screen. I'll try to move out of the way, but reach out to us. You've got a great team of folks, not just us as chaplains, but other helping agencies that are here to help if you need anything at all. And so that's all I've got. And the last thing that they end that video with is aim high, airmen. I always love that phrase. So aim high.
Next slide. Hi, everybody. It's been a while, but it's good to be able to talk with you. I am your host, Bob Balzer, your Wing SG, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with the COVID vaccines. What I find interesting about this slide is it was made about a week ago, and already there's a lot of things happening and a lot of moving parts, but I want to address some broad strokes with this and definitely look forward to any questions you might have afterwards. I want to reiterate, this is still a milestone. It is not quite yet a turning point. This vaccine is coming along. In fact, all of the vaccines that are out right now are doing well, but the data to make them mandatory or to finally take them out from under the Emergency Use Act, we're not there just yet. Again, getting vaccinated does not change the posture that we have right now of hand washing, mask wear, and 6-foot distance. I would like to point out something that the DoD takes CDC guidelines into account, but they come up with their own policy. And if you consider that our jobs are more restrictive by nature and may have more of a higher visibility or a higher threat, we tend to be a little more conservative. So even though you may see something out in the civilian population with loosened up mask wear, please pay attention to the guidelines that Colonel Tyler is putting out and the DoD are putting out, because they may be a little bit different, and that is intentional. The next thing I'd like to talk about is about 6 in 6 million were found to have these clots, and there was no significant linkage with the vaccine, but it highlights something. The scrutiny on what's going on right now has never been higher for any vaccine that I've seen in my career. And there are safeguards to stop what we're doing, take a look, make sure it's safe, and proceed. Some of the highlights of side effects that have been brought up are myocarditis, or an inflammation of your heart, infertility, neurological problems, and then also these blood clots. And what I've found with my research and looking up the peer-reviewed literature, that these instances are no more than what would happen in the general population using to vaccinate this wing. But what I would encourage people to do is, if you are vaccinated and you are having side effects, make sure you report those. It could be nothing, it could be something, but that data is invaluable to try to get down to the next milestone. So again, happy to talk about that further and get into more of the details. But finally, the thing that I want to talk about is the voluntary nature of what we're doing. So if you ask me, Bob Balzer, as a doctor, do I want you to get vaccinated? Absolutely. But I absolutely respect the choice that you have to make. And I will never argue how you feel about something. I would just ask that you consider the facts and look at sources that you trust. I mentioned this last time. I will continue to mention this. I have a few listed below: the FDA, the CDC, and definitely give us a call. I'm asking for something that's rare nowadays. I'm asking you to trust me. And if you don't trust me, let's find somebody you do, okay? Thank you very much. And I'm now going to turn it over to Dr. Yinger.
Thank you, Dr. Balzer. Steve Yinger here. Hello, Roosters. In addition to my wing staff responsibilities, I'm also privileged to serve in a senior civilian capacity. So today I'd like to take a few moments to talk to all of our airmen, but specifically about our civilian Roosters. First, with our DSIPS performance process and where we are during the year. Just in the past few weeks, we should have all completed our midterm feedbacks, which is a great opportunity to share with our civilian subordinates how he or she is doing and how we can recalibrate to get to end of the year performance objectives that we can meet and exceed. And one of those performance objectives should be one specifically related to your professional development. So in line with the Civilian Development Charter that Colonel Tyler signed out and earlier this calendar year, each civilian rooster should have a performance objective that states that there is X amount of hours that the individual will have to focus on professional development. Now, to be clear, this is an opportunity to codify with your supervisory chain a certain amount of time to invest in yourself. And furthermore, it signifies the 70th Wing investment in our civilian roosters. So we appreciate your continued support as we continue to develop all was tentatively scheduled for 16 June. We hosted the first quarter civilian all-call back in March, and I'm happy to say that over 150 civilians across the 70th Wing participated. So we look forward to continuing to receive your feedback and support you all as civilians and supervisors and peers of civilians with these all-calls to ensure that we are all together leading cryptologic mission for America. Thanks for your time, Roosters.
Hello everyone, I'm Sergeant Metz with the Wing Safety Office, and I'll be talking to you about summer safety. As you prepare for the summer months, keep in mind if you take any long road trips to break it up into small portions and not take long road trips without taking breaks frequently. Make sure you're getting enough rest the night prior and you're not getting on the road fatigued. If you plan on getting out in the water, make sure you know the water you're getting into and there aren't any undertows or anything else in the area. Just make sure you're prepared and you're wearing any safety life vest you need for the type of water you're going into. If you plan on having any barbecue cookouts, make sure you're not using gasoline to start these. Those are not to be put on the barbecue grill. Also, make sure when you're using your barbecue pits that they are far away from your house and they are for outdoor use only. Remember, the pandemic is not over yet. Have fun staying as safe as you can, socially distanced.
And I'm your Wing Motorcycle Safety Rep. So I just want to take a few minutes to talk to you a little bit about motorcycle safety. Since the summer is starting, first I want to address all the non-motorcycle riders in the Wing. When you're out there on the road, just make sure you're sharing that road with those motorcycles, right? Always check your blind spots. Don't just trust your mirrors. Do a quick head check. And also allow motorcyclists their space on the road, right? Just because they're using about half the road doesn't mean that you can just go ahead and share that road with them. Side by side, they're going to need all that room in order to maneuver, avoid obstacles on the road, and then please also use caution whenever you're trying to make any turn in any intersections. If you look at the picture on the bottom right, that's what we call the fatal left turn. Usually that's when a car will make a left turn and think a motorcycle is farther back than it really is, and usually intersections are the main cause of any motorcycle incident that involves another vehicle, right? Another thing I want you to think about is unintentional blindness, right? For people who don't ride motorcycles, if you're out there in a car, you're really only looking for cars, right? So if you're not looking for motorcycles, then you could just be unintentionally blind to the fact that motorcycles are there. Right. And last but not least, also be extra cautious when you do pass a motorcycle, just because the draft from when you pass them up could cause them to have to veer off into the side of the road. So yeah, And then at the bottom, if you are interested in becoming a motorcycle rider, please contact me and I will get you squared away as much as possible. Next slide, please. With that being said, as far as training goes for the Air Force, mind you, all of this training is covered by the garrison, so it is free of charge. But if you have not ridden a motorcycle before, you will have to take a course on base. If you already have a license, then you do not have to take that level 1 course. Once you're complete with that level 1 course, you will move on to a level 2 course, which is an intermediate training, usually 6 months to a year after that. The only caveat is if you ride a sport bike, then you will need to take a sport bike only course. Like I said before, those are all provided by the base. And then after you complete that intermediate course, you just have to complete any course, whether it's a BRC2 or a advanced riders course every 5 years. If you have any questions about any of that, definitely let me know, please. And then last but not least, I just wanted to address the actual motorcycle riders in the wing. If you've taken a motorcycle safety course recently, you're probably familiar with the acronym C. If you're not, it stands for Search, Evaluate, Execute. Search just means, being able to look where you're going. You see the picture on the right, that's your peripheral, your useful vision, and your central. Being able to focus on what's ahead of you on the road and using your peripheral to be able to search far, near, and side to side. And then next is evaluate, just being ready to have that good judgment, be able to prioritize what you see. And it's also good to consider your reaction time, right? With that I mean, are you angry? Are you upset? If you are, you probably shouldn't be riding because that's going to affect your reaction time. Last but not least is execute, just being able to do whatever you want to on that motorcycle, right? Being able to lean for curves, counter steer, being able to swerve and do quick stops. And then please ride defensively, ride like you are invisible, and ride safe. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, Roosters. So I am on tap today to give you a debrief about the extremism stand down that we did earlier this year and kind of walk through a bit of the lesson learned and key takeaways. So the first part I want to start out with is talking about what was the ultimate intent of this first extremism stand down. This comes directly from the guidance that was pushed out by SecDef. And ultimately, the overarching intent was to reinforce our values and the importance of the oath to the Constitution that we all took, right? To reiterate what the standard is and why we do what it is that we do. But it wasn't just that. It's also an opportunity for everyone that's in our force and around us to voice concerns and provide feedback of what they're seeing around them. We are not immune to the conversations that are happening in society. And in fact, we as citizens are expected to be a part of that national conversation, and this is part of our opportunity to make sure that we are providing feedback into that process. So with that, one of the important understandings is that this was just phase one, right? This was a beginning part to an enduring leadership challenge, an enduring leadership issue, and we can fully expect that there's going to be continued conversations moving forward about this. But those continuing conversations are fluid. They're going to evolve based off of the feedback that we all give, right? And so we have the providing feedback through all the channels that are available to you, through all the helping agencies that are available to you. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the key takeaways. So I had the opportunity to sit in on a number of squadrons stand down days and talk through, particularly when we talked about impermissible activities. And there were some common themes that kind of resonated throughout. But first I want to start with, and this is coming directly from SecDef, the message that understand that when we have these stand down days, there is wide recognition that the vast majority of our airmen and guardians represent our core values, right? And the fact that we have these stand down days does not take away from that. And that's been reiterated recently by SecDef. So that's probably the most important takeaway here. But as we dive into kind of the nuances of the extremism stand down, one of the biggest pieces of feedback was related to the different vignettes, the different examples that were used to demonstrate what isn't permissible for us as airmen, as guardians, as DoD employees is apolitical. It does not matter what your political leanings are. We all are held to the exact same standard, and we all should be doing the right thing. And understand that the overarching DoD and Air Force policy behind all this is to maximize our freedom of expression. So, maximizing freedom of expression, in addition to being a constitutional right, our First Amendment right, is necessary for us to have that diversity of thought, to be able to work out issues and to have frank conversations. But understand that as military members, that freedom of expression is not unbounded. There are limits, right? Particularly when it comes to issues of good order and discipline and national security. And I also want to point out that, as with many of these issues, there's a difference between can and should, right? And so as airmen, as DoD civilians, we should always be thinking about what we say and what we do, even if it might be something that we can do, even if it is DoD policy to allow that, isn't necessarily something we should do. And we should all be reflecting on how we're presenting ourselves and how that represents us as professionals, as airmen, and as guardians. And lastly, I want to reiterate that the overarching concern with the extremism stand down is about safety of the force, safety of our nation, right? And so just like with anything else, if you see something, say something, right? Get it to the right helping agencies and let them take over and figure out whether there is a legitimate concern. And lastly, you have the reference there. All the things that I'm talking about here, you can find in either the DoDIs or the Air Force instruction that's on the screen. And as always, my team's available to talk through any concerns or issues as you work through these topics. Thank you.
Fitness assessments are suspended until 30 June 2021. The abdominal circumference resumes 1 October, but will be a separate component, and also height and weight are taken as record of measurement for data collection. All non-current airmen and airmen with unsatisfactory scores will test in July of 2021. Only airmen who are PCSing, returning from deployment, will receive 42-day reacclimation periods. All of the guidance for the matrix can be found on MyPERS with the due dates for all fitness assessments. Also, we are receiving an AFMS error when trying to input new access for UFPMs. The Air Force Services Agency is tracking that, and they're currently working the issue, but there's no estimated completion date at this time.
Good afternoon, Roosters. Lieutenant Vance here. This year I had the privilege of serving as your installation project officer for the Air Force Assistance Fund campaign here at Fort Meade. As many of you guys out there are likely tracking, our campaign has been in full swing for the past 7 or 8 weeks, but unfortunately we have approached our conclusion. This year presented a variety of different challenges and hurdles for us to overcome with the new COVID landscape, with people teleworking, etc. But in typical Rooster fashion, we found a way to adapt and overcome and get the job done. This year there were multiple e-giving platforms set up to make donating a little bit easier for you guys and mitigate some of those COVID concerns. And as a result of this, we saw about 98% of our donations made through these e-giving platforms. And that ultimately led to one of the highest contribution totals we've seen here, the highest since 2018 to be exact. And then also a little bit of an uptick in our active duty participation rate. So some awesome stuff going on this year, and just a true testament to the quality of people we have out there in the wing and their generosity. Really proud of some of the things we were able to accomplish this year. There may be a couple of you guys out there who are wondering, how can I continue to stay involved in the assistance fund and make periodic contributions, etc. Fortunately, with the e-giving platforms, some of those options are still available to you guys. So I encourage you guys to visit the Air Force Assistance Fund.org website to make donations that way, or text AFAF to 50155 to contribute and continue to help out those airmen and guardians out there that are in need. Lastly, I just want to extend a sincere thank you to the folks that helped out with this year's campaign. whether you served as a unit representative, helping me organize the campaign, keep things on track, making sure that our members are taken care of, or whether you opened up your hearts and made a generous contribution. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm thankful for the families out there that we were able to help because of your generosity. If you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to myself or my assistant, Master Sergeant Michael Sism, and we'd be glad to help you guys. Thanks, Roosters.
Well, what a great lineup of briefers today. Why don't we draw this to a close, Chief? Your comments, I'll have a couple comments, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers to the extent we have any coming in from Facebook.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity, sir. So good afternoon, team. Just a couple things I'd like to chat about today. So for those of you who may not be tracking, today is Military Spouse Appreciation Day. As we all know, our service to this nation is not something we can do alone. And for those of us who have spouses or family members that support us in that fashion, we thank you for what you do. I know Colonel Tyler and I are grateful to have families and spouses that support us, and we hope you have the same. We can't do what we do every day without your support. So thanks for doing that thankless job. We are grateful for our family members and spouses. May is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And I ask that y'all take a moment to reflect on a few things, because this topic's really important to me, not just because of my position, to me as a human being. I ask that you understand that it's okay to seek help. It's okay to ask your wingman for help. It's okay to go talk to the doctors. It's okay to talk to the psychologists. It's okay to talk to counselors. I have been in individual counseling 3 times throughout my career. My family and I have done family counseling a couple times throughout our career to help give us some tools to make us more resilient and stronger. And I'll tell you, I feel that I have a grateful family, and these opportunities have made us stronger. And one point that I really like to just get rid of this myth that seeking mental health takes away your clearance or takes away your badge, your access. I still have my clearance. I still have my access adjudicated through the agency, right? So please don't be afraid to reach out for help. This is a team sport. You have wingmen all around you. They may wear different color uniforms sometimes, but they're there to support you. So please know that you don't have to go at things alone. It has been a tough year with everything going on in the world between the pandemic, the extremism, the social injustices we've been experiencing. Please keep leaning on each other. Check on your wingmen. Take care of one another. Which leads me to my next point, sir. I recently learned something, and it's not my terminology, right? But it was a reminder about taking care of myself. And it's this concept of time confetti. So as we get busy throughout the day, we all have busy calendars with, a 5-meter target, 100-meter target, then this alligator's next to the boat, and now we've got this task that we have to get after. And before you know it, our day's over. And then we go home, and we have to be who we are as human beings when we go home and we take off this uniform. And I had a gentle reminder last week about taking advantage of time confetti. It's those small moments throughout your day when you can take 5 minutes to get away from your desk. You can take 5 minutes to go outside and get some fresh air and just kind of rejuvenate. Whether walking's your thing or listening to a meditation session for 5 minutes, just make sure you prioritize those moments in your life to help you decompress so that you can take on those fires, take on that calendar full of meetings, right? Again, that's not my term, but just remember time confetti. Sprinkle it throughout your calendar, take care of yourselves. And the last thing I'll leave you with, and it's tied to time confetti, is I had the opportunity today to join our local chief master sergeants, superintendents, and first sergeants here at Fort Meade Air Force Base for a base cleanup event, right? So we were asked by the garrison to do our part to take care of the garrison and help clean up for the spring. And our superintendents and first sergeants said, you know what, we will take this on. and they set up a cleanup event today, and we had so many airmen out there safely. We were masked up, we were gloved up, and we were just cleaning up our portion of the garrison. But I'll tell you, the benefit of that wasn't just cleaning the garrison, it was the conversations that we had as we were walking around and beautifying our portion of the base. So I encourage you, no matter where you're stationed, understand your local COVID posture, and as safely as possible, begin to go back to what we used to know as normal, these face-to-face engagements. You know, we have the opportunity there. Vaccines are rolling out. Find the moments of confetti that you can incorporate your everyday life with your wingman and bring it back into the fold. So that's all I'd like to share, sir. Just a couple of reminders about self-care and taking care of one another.
Chief, those are terrific, and I will write down time confetti. It's a term I'm not familiar with, but look forward to using that as we go forward. I want to make a couple comments to you, Wing, before we open it up for questions and answers. You know, Chief mentioned COVID-19 and the vaccinations, and of course we had a great update from our Dr. Baltzer, our Wing SG. And I just want to report to you that we are doing so well. 59% of our roosters, more than 59%, are vaccinated at this point. And I just want to applaud the thousands of roosters who have recognized their social responsibility and help us begin to return towards normal. The work's not done yet, but the sooner that each of us plays our part, we can make sure that our behaviors, our patterns, and the infection rates are driven towards zero. We will have a new guidance memo for the wing that comes out in the very near future. In that guidance memo, the local area will be defined as 250 miles, which is consistent with our Military District of Washington and Air Force District of Washington. And then there will be exceptions for all of our outstations based on individual circumstances. And so with regards to that local area, please make sure that you are working with your squadron commanders, your detachment commanders on how it applies to you. General Nakasone has also announced that later this month, the 23rd of May, will be the expectation of a full return to work for all high-risk personnel. We can do that because the infection or transmission rates are almost zero across the enterprise. And so we thank you for your continued discipline, your hand washing, your physical distancing, your mask wear, and the fact that the vaccinations are readily available to you here at Fort Meade. If you've not gotten yours, they're still available at McGill Center, both Moderna and Pfizer. And so please play your part, and everybody take a look at the wing guidance memo that should be coming out in the course of this next week. Okay, moving from the COVID front, I have a couple announcements to make. Today, we did a final out processing appointment and an out brief with Mr. Robert Effler. Mr. Effler has been our erstwhile technical director for the last couple years, and both Mr. Effler and Jennifer, we salute you and thank you for your service. I was able to present Mr. Effler with his 20-year certificate for civilian service, and he is capping off 43 years of public service to our nation. It's pretty remarkable, and all of the work that he's done for our cryptologic enterprise and America's Cryptologic Wing most recently. We thank you, Mr. Effler. Hopefully we have a chance to celebrate you in a retirement ceremony in the not too distant future. But until then, I do want to announce that Dr. Stephen Yinger, effective immediately, will be our acting wing technical director and senior civilian. And so he briefed a little bit earlier today, but look forward to working with Dr. Yinger in that capacity. Lieutenant Colonel Byron Bone will be our wing director of plans and programs, effective immediately. And so our wing XP, Colonel Bone, and he'll be the acting director of plans and programs. And Miss Tara Richards will be our Director of Logistics and Engineering. And so she'll be our CE/LG lead for the wing staff. Congratulations to these three leaders. High expectations for each of them. They're fantastic airmen in their own right, and we look forward to seeing how they lead our wing and support our squadrons as we go forward. Chief, I have a couple comments I think I'm going to save until we're done with the question and answer period, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Let's open it up for questions and answers. We've got a couple that have been provided to us. And if you have other questions, please make sure you're tossing into Facebook or letting our team know. All right, the first question we received was, when can we expect a wing COVID guidance memo? And I just shared with you that I'm working with the lawyers, but I expect that we'll have that out in the next couple of days, and next week is what we're targeting. Could you provide a status update on AFNet Access Anywhere rollout? And so we were talking with with the 707th Communications Squadron. I know that NIPRNet and AFNet access is a challenge for many of our airmen across Cryptologic Enterprise, and not just within this wing, but within multiple wings. And I got to tip the hat and just applaud our 707th Communications Squadron for bringing together Headquarters ACC and the architects and engineers and identifying a solution that will address the challenge that we have. We're going through the design and funding process now. I think that we're still at least months away from having a solution that's available to you, but I assure you that our best are working on that and moving us forward, and that will continue to be something that we engage with our higher headquarters on as we go forward. Chief, you want to tackle this one that's about the Arabic, Urdu, and Pashto linguists?
Absolutely, sir. So, team, we have a question asking it. Is there an Air Force-wide plan for our Arabic, Urdu, and Pashto linguist careers? So I'll tell you, this is an important topic, and the reason why it's important is because our national defense strategy has shifted, right? We're going to the 2+3, which is causing us to shift at echelon our training requirements and our requirements inside our partners' workspaces. So what I'll tell you is, it's based on individuals, right? We have training requirements, we have requirements laid upon us from our partners, and each individual airman is at a different point in their career, which means there's going to be different opportunities available to some. For example, if we have a linguist at 17 or 18 years, it doesn't make sense to re-language or retrain at that point, right? So I know I don't have a clear answer here, but what I offer you is talk to your chain of command, talk to your leadership team, talk to the wing functional managers, the deputy career field managers or career field managers putting out as much information as possible, but I know that they are taking the human element into consideration here to align us with Air Force requirements and Air Force policy for retraining or re-languaging opportunities. So please reach out to your team. I don't know that there's a one-size-fits-all because we have so many linguists at various points in their careers.
Thanks, Chief. The next question that we have for us is, what is the plan for the Fort Meade fitness testing without a track? And so you heard Airman Vela talk about us resuming testing in July. And so look for your appointments. We're still working through the upgrades to the track outside of Gaffney, and we're working through alternatives if that track is not ready for operations by the July timeframe. So more to follow on that question, but I assure you that our Force Support Squadron and Colonel Olson, our 707th ISR Group Commander, are working through the options for both myself and Chief to review. All right, what other questions do we have that have come in on chat or anywhere else, Sergeant Som?
Are there any updates regarding 3Ds transitioning to 1Bs? 3 deltas to 1 deltas?
Chief?
I do not have the update on that, so that's something I'll have to reach out to the CFMs. I know there's conversations about it, but I do not have the most recent update available.
Chief and I have been involved at the margins in conversations over the last couple of years, and I know that this is an ongoing conversation that's been at least 3 years ongoing. But we will take that for action, and hopefully we've identified who has asked the question, and we will get back to you soon. I have a question in chat. It says, sir, can you tell us what is your favorite squadron in the wing, and why is it the 32nd Intelligence Squadron, from a Tyson Wetzel? And so I just want to say that Lieutenant Colonel Wetzel, you are my favorite Blue Knight commander of the 32nd Intelligence Squadron today, and the 32nd Intelligence Squadron certainly is an outstanding squadron you have the honor of commanding, and so impressed with them and the 17 other squadrons we have across this cryptologic wing. Hey team, I'm going to wrap up today. You're fantastic, and I thank you for being some extraordinary airmen and guardians across the 70th ISR wing. We have an opportunity today to bid farewell, in some ways, to Chief Master Sergeant Jeremiah Ross. This will be your last commander's call joining us. Chief, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure of my career to be able to work alongside you, to call you a wingman. I thank you for your genuine and humble leadership, for being so relatable to our airmen and guardians, and for all that you have done to lift us all up. And so a tip of the hat and a salute to you, Chief, and we'll get to love on you and celebrate you and farewell you a little bit later. But thank you for your leadership. And in Facebook, give a shout out to Chief. Show him a little bit of love with a heart, a thumbs up, or comments for Chief Master Sergeant Jeremiah Ross. Chief Master Sergeant Ron Hopkins will join us in about over the course of this next month, and we'll begin to do a transition with you.
Yes, sir.
And should be in the seat by the middle of June timeframe, if I understand my timelines correctly. And so, so thank you so much, Chief, for your service. And you're not going far. You're going down to the Pentagon, and you'll
Yes, sir.
continue to live in our Fort Meade community. But grateful for your leadership. Hey, Roosters, perhaps the biggest public service announcement of today is that this is Mother's Day weekend. Chief mentioned that it's the Military Spouse Appreciation Day, but call Mom and thank your mothers around the world for making you who you are. And thank you to all of our moms who are in formation. You're just superheroes in our minds, and we're grateful to you for your leadership and making it all look easy. All right. I think that wraps it up for today. Thank you for being airmen and guardians leading Cryptologic Mission for America. That's it from Studio 70 here at Fort Meade on a Mother's Day weekend. Chief, one more time together on a commander's call. Should we tell everybody? Lead on.